Check. How are we doing? All right, welcome everyone. Hey, it's a beautiful Thursday. It is August 1st. A wonderful day for me here in our family and the things we have going on. But I'm not going to say anything about it because of fucking stalkers. But welcome everyone. I'd like to greet you all. Apologize for missing yesterday. This show was supposed to happen yesterday in the afternoon, and so many things came up. I can't even handle it. I'm trying to keep up with everything going on. Um, and I'll get into that in a moment about some things. But anyway, I want to welcome you all in. Everyone who's just in the Lurker crew, please join the chat. The chat is here for you. I'd love to see you in the chat. We have a lot to cover. And as you know, uh, we're in the midst of a few days of hearings here in the fucking insane situation that is the Delphi murders trial against Richard Allen Circus. Okay, so we'll be getting into some of that. Before I get started, let me say hello to Scott, Bonnie, Lisa, Pam, Fort Pitts, and Gen C. What's up, everyone in the chat? I appreciate you for being here in the chat. I really appreciate that. That's wonderful to see everyone here. And anyway, so I'm going to start us off with, to ease us into this, with reading a couple articles just to get us up to speed. And then I'm going to get into a few more of the motions that are being heard. And so let's get started. What's up, Nancy Drew? Anyway, thanks everyone again for being here, especially those of you in the chat. I'm not happy. I don't know if it's coming across, but I'm really not happy at all. And we'll be getting into that. And unfortunately, it's going to mean bad things for the future because of my unhappiness. I'm going to have to do things that I don't want to do, and it sucks because I don't want to waste my time doing things that I'm going to have to do using this channel and my other channel. So it sucks because I'm just very unhappy with this community, and I'm unhappy with the things that I'm going to have to do to show the world this community. And it sucks because the last thing I want to do is show people the vile scumbags floating around this community. But I'm going to have to because they just won't quit. Anyhow, Indiana State Police announced the arrest of Richard Allen for 4 counts of murder in connection with the February 2017 deaths of Abby Williams, Liberty German. Okay. The case has been mired in back and forth legal maneuvering involving the defense and prosecution, delaying hearings and Allen's trial. Not to mention the crime scene photo leaks by several YouTubers, including Mark Robert Cohen and all of his best friends, many of whom you know. And all of you who are here supporting those pieces of shit, I really must admonish you. You are the most disgusting individuals I've ever encountered. Everyone in that chat and everyone sucking the balls of those guys. Yes, I mean Fig Sauls. I mean Laura. I mean everyone in that chat. I am just astonished that you would go and support someone at the center of the leaks that got one person killed, and that's Robert Kyle Fortson, and it delayed Allen's trial by nearly a year, and it pretty much almost got the defense kicked off and ruined justice for Libby and Abby. But you guys go over there and you support that shit, and I'm fucking astonished at you. You people are disgusting, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But pardon me, I was reading an article that seems to leave that part out. Allen's attorneys have sought on multiple occasions to have Special Judge Fran Gull. Remember, she is a special judge because she was brought in to replace another piece of shit who stepped down because of a bloodlust, allegedly. Allen's attorneys have sought on multiple occasions to have the bitch removed from the proceedings. Indiana Supreme Court assigned her to oversee the case after the original judge recused himself because he's a piece of crap. Gull attempted to have defense attorney Rozzi and Baldwin removed as Allen's representation last year, citing evidence leaks, the ones I just referenced, by Mark Robert Cohen and all his best fucking friends and all the YouTubers in Ruckus Rock's Discord. But, we'll get to that later. Plus, we want to know what really happened with Tyler Carpenter. What was the exchange of $2,500 that we saw on the GoFundMe for a Make-A-Wish Foundation trip that we know is a bunch of shit, because Make-A-Wish is a completely paid endeavor. Your travel's paid, your accommodations are paid, your food is paid, your trip is paid, your admissions to all the events. So, yeah. But little Frankie said the 2,000 came from Tyler Carpenter, and my sources say it was for all the people in Ruckus's Discord. But we'll get to that later. Earlier this month, the state's highest court rebuffed a subsequent attempt by the defense to remove Gull, of course. And in June, Gull herself denied removing herself for recusal. Of course she would, right? Against this backdrop, Gull will hold hearings on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, that's the past 3 days. Scheduled to hear 10 motions. Okay, motion for admissibility, defense motion to suppress second statement, state's objection to defense motion to suppress, defense motion to compel and motion for sanctions, defense motion to vacate safekeeping order, state's motion in limine, defense response to state's motion in limine, defense second motion to dismiss, state's response to defense second motion to dismiss. All of that we've read in the prior episode covering day one. We have read a few of them. I think we read the various motions to suppress. Okay, and today we'll be getting in a few more motions. I want to make you familiar with all the motions so that by the end of the day today, and actually not even the end of the day today. Let me revise that. By the time that decisions or orders are made on these motions, okay, so she's taking basically the way she's working this, she's taking everything under advisement, of course. So she's going to get to go away for a couple weeks and wring her hands and decide what she's going to do about all of these motions. And guaranteed she's going to continue to exhibit bias. She's going to continue to grant the defense pretty much nothing, only token judgments, and she's going to continue to shill for the prosecution and show the extreme bias she has shown. She's setting up for an amazing appeal for Richard Allen, and it sucks because, as you know, I believe Mr. Richard Allen did have something to do with this crime. I believe he was involved. I believe he has knowledge of who else was involved. And what she's doing, she's going to make it very easy for Mr. Richard Allen to get off if he is convicted, because she's setting up for an amazing appeal. Okay? So, pressing issues include defense efforts to suppress Allen's purported jail confessions and question the admissibility of his interviews with police, of course, because we know that those confessions do not match elements of the crime that are known. We believe they were coerced, and we believe that he was put in a situation in Westville that broke him mentally and indeed did cause an episode of psychosis, and brought about by his medication, brought about by his treatment, uh, uh, mentally and or psychologically and physically, and we'll be getting into that. The defense is asking the court to sanction the prosecution for failing to turn over discovery evidence in a timely manner, which is factual. We know also, aside from taking nearly 6, 8, 10, 12 months to hand over evidence, uh, the judge has also delayed in responding to all of these motions, taking 30, 60, the rule being 30, her taking an additional 30 days, which would equal 60 days. Um, she took anywhere between 2, 3, 4, 6 months, okay, before she's finally hearing this. Okay, so this all of this that's happening now should have happened anywhere between 2, 4, 6, 8 months ago. So this is how delayed she is. uh, she has not been timely. She has not been timely with paying the defense attorneys, and she has not and the prosecution has not been timely with turning over defense. We know it's a total shit show. We know it's a total railroading of Richard Allen. We know that the entire law enforcement of Carroll County, the entire families of the victims, they're all acting shady as fuck. There's good reason to believe that they're all covering up the additional parties that were involved in the murders of Abby and Libby, and we will never shut up, despite them threatening to kill me, but despite them threatening to interfere with the well-being of my children, despite them attacking my children, despite them collectively coming together and doing live streams about my son, who is currently facing legal problems of which they have no idea, because they have not spoken with prosecutor and defense as I have. They do not know elements of my son's involvement in alleged crimes. They do not know the details of it, but nevertheless, they tried to use that to make me go away. They tried to use doxing me to make me go away. They tried to use killing me to make me go away. They tried to use threats towards my family members, my children, and the mothers of my children to make me go away. They tried to use constant harassment, intimidations to make me go away. Nothing's going to fucking make me go away. You assholes are pieces of shit. Everything's been documented, submitted to law enforcement, current being looked at. And also, there is a good case being made for defamation, so keep your shit up. We appreciate it. Defense has also accused the state of destroying potentially exculpatory evidence. Yes, 70 days worth. Okay, the first entire week of interviews we know has been destroyed. It's kind of bullshit, right? We've got no family cell phone data, which would be necessary for establishing the veracity of time and place regarding the victims of this crime. Okay, we need to know. We need to know time and place. We need to verify a timeline. We need to verify location. We need to verify the family stories. But you have zero forensic data from the family's cell phones. Well, how are we supposed to believe the family's version of events when none of that has been corroborated? Okay, how are we supposed to believe the first week of everything has been lost when that's the most important time during any investigation, or the first days? Remember the show First 48, or the 48 hours, in which it is uh, conveyed that the first 48 hours are the absolute most important time in any crimes, especially such things as homicides. And here we have the first entire week completely missing. We have 70 days in totality of missing evidence. Just a total fucking shit show. Another issue involves Allen's safekeeping order. His attorneys want to move to county jail, where he's probably going to be killed. So I wouldn't suggest that. He's currently being held in a safe facility. In the meanwhile, the state seeks to have Allen's statements admitted in court and wants the judge to dismiss the defendant's motions uh, and have them suppressed. Prosecutors also filed a motion attempting to prevent the defense from mentioning its alternative murder theory surrounding Odinism during jury selection, opening statements, evidence presentation, or closing arguments, which is bullshit, because we have really good reason to believe that several community members are involved in this crime, along with Mr. Allen. And these several community members uh, most likely are somewhat aligned to Odinism, white supremacy, motorcycle clubs, meth dealing, human trafficking, the drop box, and the general rumor mill surrounding the Delphi murders. We believe that they are all probably related to living in or near the location where the bodies were found and the girls were last seen. And we do believe that they all have ties to Keegan Klein and the type of loose knit group that would align themselves with Odinism. Last week, the defense filed a separate motion seeking to present many opening statements prior to jury selection. Gold granted the motion without a hearing and will give counsel 5 minutes to present such statements. But we know we do not need suppressed terms such as Keaton Klein, terms such as Dropbox, terms such as Odinist, terms such as Elvis Field, Todd Click, etc. We'll get into that. Go has issued orders denying media requests for cameras in the courtroom because she doesn't want any transparency. Because transparency would mean we could see the absolute shit show that's going to occur in the trial of Richard Allen. She doesn't want that. This whole thing's an embarrassment. Individuals like Steve Mullen, Tony Liggett, Toad Blesenby, Doug Carter, and the other clowns surrounding Jerry Holman. I don't want to leave that out. And the other clowns surrounding this Delphi murders law enforcement contingent are absolute embarrassments. They've clearly committed crimes in the destruction of evidence, both inculpatory and exculpatory regarding Richard Allen. They've stacked the deck. They've perjured themselves. Remember, Tony Liggett lied on the PCA for Allen. There's a whole lot of bullshit that's transpired. She doesn't want any of that seen. She also doesn't want seen her own obvious bias towards the prosecution. She doesn't want Nicholas McClelland's the favorite exhibited towards Nicholas McClelland broadcast throughout the world. She doesn't want anything broadcast throughout the world. They don't want us here on the internet talking. That's why they're trying to destroy Little Joe, Raffy, and myself and make us go away, because the last thing they need is us shining a light on their crimes in Carroll County. Allen's trial is scheduled to begin October 15th, but it won't. I mean, I doubt it will. It lasts through November 15th, but I doubt that. Everything's going to get pushed back. Something's going to happen. Jurors will be brought in from Allen County to hear the case and render a verdict. And that's all the troll farm is obsessed with, is jury bias or contamination of potential future jurors. That's why we're on here talking, because we know that there needs to be a balance to this family's narrative that's been put out and shilled by people like Sleuth Intuition, Fig Sauls, and the whole bag of douchebags has been following this case and covering this case for 6 years. Gray Hughes putting across the family's narrative, trying to railroad Richard Allen and make this entire case go away with just one man when it was obviously more than one involved. So we're not going to let that happen. We're going to provide balance to this narrative by being here ourselves, and so we will be here. Okay. Now, another one, in what is in all likelihood a preview of the defense strategy for the October double murder trial of Delphi suspect Richard Allen. Lawyers representing the man accused of killing Abby Williams and Liberty German in 2017 argued motions before Fran Gull today to dismiss the charges against their client, move him to a county jail, and sanction the prosecutor for supposedly not turning over evidence in a coherent and timely manner. On this first day of a 3-day schedule in Carroll County Court, this is from would have been Tuesday, she would take motions under advisement. Okay, she said that these hearings are being held at all, and Judge Gull is expected to offer written opinions, would be a marked contrast for the contentious arguments that have pitted the defense team against both the prosecutor and the court or the judge ever since Allen was charged in 2022, about October of 2022. The first motion to vacate safekeeping order seeks to reverse or modify an original order that saw Allen move from Carroll County Jail to White County Jail and to the Indiana DOC Westville facility, all within the first month after his arrest, reportedly for his own protection and that from other inmates. But we know it was in order to put him in a situation where he is mentally compromised, distressed, and threatened by Odinist guards, so that he would give up confessions. Okay, and earlier this year, Allen was moved again, this time to Wabash Valley Correctional Facility, south of Terre Haute, some 200 miles away from the office of lead defense attorney Brad Rozzi. Rozzi argued that the latest move is a violation of his client's constitutional rights to counsel, makes it difficult for family and lawyers to visit, and subjects him to isolation in a remote location. Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, the one who lied on the PCA to have Richard Allen apprehended, maintains responsibility for assignment of Allen's pre-trial detention. So why would he be biased? I mean, he obviously lied on a PCA to have Allen arrested and for a search warrant, and told the court, I don't care where he's at, he can't be with me. Of course not, because you're the one who put words in the mouths of witnesses and alleged that a witness said that he was muddy and bloody when she did not describe someone dressed as the person you are alleging is Alan, which would be Bridge Guy. You also put the words in the mouth of bloody, which was not a word uttered by the alleged witness. Um, you tried to turn a 1965 Mercury Comet into a 2000s Ford Focus, which uh, would never happen. Not on rainy day in hell would it ever happen. Okay, Judge Gold said she would take under advisement the request to have Alan move closer to home as he awaits the October 14th, 15th trial date. And she's taking everything under advisement. This gives her time to go and figure out how she's going to manipulate the system to get what she wants out of this and continue her obvious bias and favoritism towards the state. The second motion heard today, or Wednesday, or Tuesday, was a plea from the defense to direct the prosecution to provide an improved labeling search system for the tens of thousands of lines of evidence and documents it has provided Allen's attorneys regarding the investigation into their client, compensate his lawyers for the more than $12,000 it cost them to retrieve a piece of evidence the state says it doesn't have, and force the prosecutor to fulfill discovery in a more timely manner. And it's my assumption here that there is more discovery that the prosecutor is withholding. Mark my words, there will be a last minute drop of damning evidence onto the Richard Allen defense team. Mark my words, it will happen. And if you think that Richard Allen is completely innocent because you have not seen evidence or heard of evidence from the defense that would prove him to be guilty, mark my words, there will be last minute disclosure of inculpatory evidence, I guarantee you, and it's going to look bad, and it's going to also aid in the appeal of his conviction should he be convicted. So this entire shit show and circus will be amazing to watch. It has already been amazing to watch. If you've been watching the social media coverage of this case, I'm sure you've noticed the absolute fucking circus, the backstabbing, the goofballing and the shilling that has been going on in the social media. There's a reason, because we have an entire contingent of social media personnel, and that means YouTubers, that means Twitterers, and that means Facebookers who are all compromised and coming together in a group that I loosely term as Troll Farm to work on the behalf of the family and the prosecution to try to cover up these murders and have Mr. Richard Allen go down as patsy for these crimes. Despite the magnitude of his level of involvement, they want this entire case to go away with him, but it never will, because people like us will never go away, despite their all of their efforts to threaten to kill us, to threaten our family members, to threaten and to dox and to post our homes on their YouTube channels, and to never keep our names out of their mouth, and to have all these whores. By that I mean former sex workers who are currently surrounding this case like a fucking like a, a, a bad case of head lice. And they try to send us nudes. They try to catfish us. They try to stroke us. They try to game us. They try to get in good. They try to milk us for information. And they use their TNA and all of their feminine charms and 15-year-old photos to send us to try to make themselves look more appealing in order to try to finesse information out of us. But we know what's going on. You're all former sex workers. We've already found all the background checks on you. We've already found your old social media. We've already found your what is it called? The OnlyFans. We found your OnlyFans. We found your websites. We found your old material. We know your escorts. We know what your game is. We know that you're currently madams, that you're involved in the sex industry. We got to ask, why are all of you surrounding this case? Is that because of the connection to the Dropbox? It sure does seem like it. We'll be exposing that in the near future. Don't worry. Judge Gull said she would take the motion under advisement, but the most enlightening debate took place during the afternoon session when Allen's defense team trotted out the theory of a third party responsible for the murders of Abby and Libby. Okay, a theory Judge Gull has so far denied introduction before the jury in the upcoming October trial. During the morning hearing, Allen's attorneys recounted how they were forced to travel to Georgia to retrieve a social media post that claimed essential to proving their client's innocence. Almost immediately after the killings, Libby's grandmother, grifter Becky Patty, told investigators that father of Abby Libby's boyfriend practiced Odinism, a Nordic pagan religion. That's right, immediately. Becky Patty tried to throw this onto Brad Holder. You have to wonder, if that's true, how in the hell is Brad Holder ever involved in this? Is he involved? Is he not involved? Sure doesn't smell like he's involved to me. The reasons why? Well, because first of all, he's continued to answer questions on Facebook, which you would not expect for a guilty person to do. He blatantly posted tons and tons of inculpatory looking photos, etc., which you would not expect a guilty person to do. You'd expect a guilty person to remain silent and hidden. Additionally, Becky Patty immediately tried to finger him for the crime, which would seem to be misdirection, because we know that everything else that family has done has been extremely suspicious, totally conflicting with reality, and giving too many coincidences in the narrative that they've put across to ever be likely, because how many coincidences can exist until it is an absolute impossibility? Internet sleuths discovered that a man investigated but not charged had allegedly posted social media photographs of sketches and diagrams of confidential crime scene information online. When Indiana State Police investigators didn't or couldn't retrieve some of that information, one of Allen's lawyers traveled to acquire it himself. Prosecution has claimed that since the man was never charged with the killings, the sketches are not exculpatory and therefore inadmissible in court. During a hearing on a motion to dismiss charges, his attorneys argued that ISP has either intentionally or inadvertently botched the investigation into Odinism theory. And that's where I agree with the attorneys for the defense here. The law enforcement has intentionally botched the investigation into the third-party suspects, or who I would term the additional suspects in the Delphi murders trial. I've always believed that you're looking at between 7 to 14 individuals who committed this crime, who have knowledge of this crime, who actively participate in this crime, and who help move the bodies. A large number of individuals. Remember, you still don't know who found the fucking bodies of these girls. That's right. You still don't know. Why is it still such a mystery of who actually found the bodies? It started with lies from day one, including David Erskine, who gave up multiple lies and still lying to this day. The family has lied. Erskine is family. We've never gotten a straight answer about who actually found the bodies. We've gotten several answers about who found the bodies. Who actually found the bodies? Are we ever going to learn who actually found the bodies? Were the bodies found in one place? Were they found in another place? Why do we have John Weaver saying the bodies were found in the water? And why do we have others saying the bodies were found where they were eventually placed with sticks on top of them? Where were the bodies found? When were the bodies found? Were the bodies even found, or were the bodies always known about? Were the bodies actually elsewhere and moved? Were the people who found the bodies the same people who moved the bodies? See that shit? All that shit that we don't know shit about. It's been a constant clusterfuck. It's been constant lies. And you got people on the internet trying to tell you that none of that ever happened. We have people on the internet trying to tell you that John Weaver never saw the girls' bodies in the water, even though that best friends of John Weaver are on the internet to this day, operating troll accounts and gaslighting the entire Delphi murders community on YouTube and the Flora Fire murders community on YouTube. Yes, those individuals who are intimately tied to Mr. John Weaver, who also worked at Subaru with other loved ones of these troll accounts on YouTube. Yes, this very John Weaver had claimed that the bodies were found in the water, and that came across in the transcript of the radio traffic from the time of the alleged finding of the bodies. We don't think those bodies were found when you say they were found. We believe they were found, quote unquote, by the people who moved them. Okay? They were staged. They were announced as found. And even that happened much earlier. There's so many conundrums in this case. Shit on top of more shit. It's a shit sandwich. Okay. Attorney Andrew Baldwin introduced into evidence emails between ISP Superintendent Doug Carter and Jay Abbott, who was at the time special agent in charge of the Indianapolis FBI. Emails show investigators were working very hard to locate an individual deemed suspect number 6 in the days after the killings to implicate the father of Abby's boyfriend of the Vinlanders in the group of Odinist. The defense highlighted contradictions in the father's story. This is Brad Holder. Whether he ever met Abby, the erasure of the recording of his first interview with investigators, incomplete records of subsequent interviews, ISP's decision not to seize his phone and to download this information. Yeah, what's the likelihood? Okay, as far as Brad Holder, what's the likelihood of not downloading his phone contents? What's the likelihood of the whole mystery about him clocking in and out being a total fucking clusterfuck? What's the mystery of his connection to James or to Westfall? Okay, what's the connection between both of them knowing both of the girls, both of them being found or seen with both of the girls in the time prior to their death? The hog shit is literally so strong it eats the baffles out of the pooper tanks. Okay, this is your Delphi murders case. How in the hell do you lose an entire first week of interviews and claim it was erased over accidentally? How do you lose 70 days of investigation, claim that it was lost unintentionally? How do you claim that you don't have Brad Holder's phone dump? How do you claim that you don't have the family's phone dumps? How do you claim that the phone pings of one of the victims until 5 something p.m. phone's turned off? It doesn't start pinging again until 4 something a.m. in the morning, the next morning, before the girls were found. Who turns the phone back on? Who turns the phone back on? Okay. Who found the bodies? Who moved the bodies? Who moved the bodies? Did anybody in the search team, were any of them found in the various connection or association with Keegan Klein and the Dropbox? All hard answers no one wants answers to, because the answers to that opens up a can of worms. None of these sex workers and locals and trolls and pieces of shit surrounding this case and YouTube shills want the answers to, because no one wants the answers to the Delphi murders. Why? Because the answers to the Delphi murders would take down an entire network of human traffickers, sex traffickers, and pedophiles and killers, bikers, and meth dealers in the Carroll County area. No one wants that. With tentacles reaching out all the way to the East Coast, the West Coast, down to Florida, and on up to Michigan. You got tentacles reaching out the entire country. No one wants the Delphi murder solved, because Delphi murder solved would mean that an entire network of pieces of shit go down, and that's what you got. Taking the stand was Kevin Murphy, retired ISP detective, who, along with 2 other officers, wrote a report summarizing their theory that the father and his Odinist associates should be investigated for the killings. Yes, remember, Murphy, Ferenczi, and Click, they managed to have Ferenczi assassinated in front of the FBI office. You think that's an accident? No, it's not. Okay. Murphy said that when lead ISP investigator, fat-ass doughboy Jerry Holman, liar, psychotic maniac who is helping cover up the murders of Abby and Libby, learned the defense team had a copy of the report from Murphy's group, he shouted in a courthouse hallway, "What the fuck is this? How the fuck did they get that?" Why would Jerry Doughboy Holman shout, "What the fuck is this, and how the fuck did they get that?" when becoming aware of the Ferenczi, Murphy, and Click investigation information being handed over to the defense? Not only that, why would the Odinist patches on the guards at Westville disappear within a week of Mr. Holman becoming aware that the defense was sniffing out something related to Nordic pagan beliefs among some of these people? On the stand now, Holman testified that the father had been eliminated as a suspect based on an alibi for his whereabouts the day and the video evidence captured on Libby's cell phone that afternoon as a killer approached the bridge. From the video, Mr. Allen told the girls to go down the hill, he said. Despite the proximity of the father's family to the victims, Holman said he didn't think it was important to download information from the father's cell phone, though investigators had the boyfriend's cell phone and the cell phones of 101 fucking others. So let me tell you this. Why turn a blind eye to Brad Holder? Even if you have Richard Allen on camera saying guys down the hill, it doesn't mean that there weren't a group of 7 other individuals waiting for those girls at the bottom of that hill. Do you see the leaps in logic in this investigation, in this case? So you think because you have one person abducting the girls that you don't have 5 others killing the girls? This investigation was no investigation. Okay, it was no investigation. Because an actual investigation is what Ferenczi, Murphy, and Click did. That's an investigation. Anytime you see the term unified command, you should just scratch that out and replace it with cover up central. Okay, because it appears to me that unified command is basically the entity tasked with covering up the murders of Abby and Libby. That's what unified command is. The hearings this week are in response to the defense motions and would not necessarily delve into evidence expected to be brought by the prosecution, such as eyewitnesses who allegedly put Allen on the hiking trail that afternoon. No, they put Daniel Pearson on the hiking trails, who they put, and no one put. Betsy Blair did not put Allen there. She put a 10 out of 10 match for that young guy sketch, who we believe we know who is. Sarah Carbo put a man in a tan jacket that was only muddy and not bloody out walking on the road. Now, do you believe that because Tony Liggett twisted the words of both of those witnesses and tried to turn them both into Allen, that it means that it factually is Allen? While Baldwin admitted to the defense, or that the defense team faced long odds and convincing goal to grant their motions based on violations of Allen's 6th and 14th Amendment rights, the hearings are an opportunity for the lawyers to begin sowing the seeds of reasonable doubt that the jury may consider if it should find the state's case against the defendant less than compelling. Well, they will find it less than compelling. And if they don't, the appeals court will, because we know that the appearance of impropriety and overall bias and railroading and malfeasance and corruption within law enforcement is so overwhelming that appeals will definitely be successful regardless of conviction. That's a shame, because if Allen was involved, you would want a blemish-free case. This case should have been run perfectly. The investigation should have been run perfectly if you cared anything about this crime or justice for Abby and Libby. And the trial, or the court process, the legal process, should be run blemish-free, absolutely perfectly, if you care anything about justice for Abby and Libby. And obviously, they don't care anything about justice for Abby and Libby, because not only is it not blemish-free, it is rife with problems. There's so many problems here that I am absolutely confident that should Allen be convicted, he will be freed on appeal. And that's a goddamn shame, because if he did have anything to do with this, wouldn't you want that case to stick? So it's a total shit show. It's a total shit show what we've been witnessing. Okay. Not to mention the litany of death threats, doxing, harassment, and intimidation that has occurred since the first day I stepped onto this case on YouTube's. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. We're never going to pretend that we're never going to let that go away. All right, one more. This was from yesterday. Today was the day Richard Allen's attorneys took their best shot at dismissing perhaps some of the most damning evidence arrayed against their client in the Delphi murder case. During the day 2 of pretrial preliminary hearings before Gall in Carroll County Circuit Court, Allen's defense team brought forth a prison psychologist who examined the man accused of killing Abby Williams and Liberty German. Dr. Monica Walla testified that shortly after Allen's arrest, in October of 22, he was whisked away to Westville Correctional Facility to an isolated cell for his own protection, where within 6 months he started exhibiting signs of a grave mental illness due to conditions of his pre-trial detention. Now let me remind you that 30 days 30 days of solitary confinement is enough to make anyone lose their fucking mind, and is considered abuse. Okay, it is considered torture. This man, after 6 months of torture, uh, started exhibiting signs of a grave mental illness. Okay, while other inmates in Westville described described the unit as a prison within a prison. Uh, they shouted "baby killer" and "kill yourself" at Allen. Remember, I mentioned in the last show. Remember that we had a whistleblower from inside the prison say that they were screaming and yelling at him, calling him a baby killer and telling him to kill himself 24/7. He was being threatened, intimidated, harassed. You remember that? And remember how the entire troll farm wanted to say, "Oh, don't listen to him. He's a baby killer." I mean, he's a felon. He's a felon. Don't listen to him. You guys remember that? I hope you remember it well. They said he's a felon. Don't listen to that guy who's writing the judge on his own volition. He's a felon. Don't listen to him. He's a criminal. Well, is Miss Monica Walla also not credible because she's is she a felon? Is she untrustworthy because of that? Baby killer and kill yourself. She recognized the defendant's deteriorating mental state as he banged his head against the concrete walls of his cell and ingested his own feces. In May of 2023, Walla testified that Allen told her he wanted to confess to killing of the girls near the High Bridge outside of Delphi more than 6 years earlier, and described some of the details of the crime incorrectly, I must add. Walla said her conversations with Allen were limited to speaking to him through the crack in the door to his cell, and he was locked inside what she called a cage in an interview room. The psychologist testified that Allen told her he found God on March 21st, 2023, and shared with her details of his activities on February 13, 2017, the day of the murders, and made a confession to his wife, Kathy, during a phone call. Wallace shared that after the call, Allen said his wife didn't believe him. ISP Detective Brian Harshman, who's also not done anything about the 5 years of intimidation that he's received as tips over these years, and he's allowed it, just like all the other ISP. They've allowed this shit on the YouTubes. They've allowed death threats. They've allowed intimidation. They've allowed doxing by the locals, by the likes of Tommy Frost, Anthony Greeno, and that entire fucking crew from Delphi. Brian Harshman's one of the ones who's allowed it. He's reviewed 650 to 670 of Allen's phone calls during his incarceration, covering more than 150 hours. Corrupt Brian Harshman said Allen confessed more than 60 times, most often to his wife and mother, who expressed disbelief, concerns about his mental state, or changed the subject. It was in late March, after his come to Jesus moment, when his confession phone calls began, said the detective. He talked about these crimes very specifically. Harshman said, yeah, including that he shot the girls in the back and molested them. Prosecutor Diener asked Harshman if Allen's confessions contained details of the crime. That's correct, added Harshman, adding that Allen also discussed his motivation in allegedly committing the killings. Allen's confession season covered the months of April through July of last year, which coincided with his mental illness crisis, which was partially abated by injections of Haldol to curb his depression. Remember, he was also on Prozac. Allen was later transferred to IDOC Wabash Valley Correctional Facility south of Terre Haute, where Harshman said a corrections officer overheard the defendant apologize for killing Abby, and that Allen wanted to tell the truth and be honest. Harshman said one of the telephone confessions he had transcribed recorded Allen's concern over what evidence would be revealed at trial, specifically crime scene photos and the impact that would have on his family. On cross-examination, defense attorney Brad Rozzi, Harshman said that in all monitored phone calls, Allen did not ever say he shot or molested the girls, and would occasionally pronounce his innocence. During John Gallipo, former warden at Westville, said that one day while standing outside of Alan's cell door, he heard the accused man admit to killings and refer to the victims by name. Okay, so where did he say that he shot the girls? Because that's appeared before in our documentation. Where did he say he molested the girls? Because that's appeared before. When did he say he was innocent? Because that's appeared before. Reportedly, guards and other inmates have also said they heard Alan confess unprompted. Jerry Holman testified that an inmate claimed Alan threw away a box cutter in a dumpster behind CVS store where he worked in Delphi. Prosecutors are expected to introduce bullet evidence linking Alan to a gun displayed at the murder scene and that Abby Libby died of cutting wounds. Alan's defense team said his client had been under incredible stress and locked up in a bare-bones 8x10-12 for 21 months while technically an innocent man awaiting trial. Well, that's true. Judge Gold will hear final summations of whether to suppress the confessions Thursday morning before likely taking the arguments under advisement, which she absolutely would do. And as she motioned to move Alan to Cass County Jail from now until his October trial date and to dismiss murder charges based on an alternate theory investigated that ISP that Odinus practicing a Nordic ceremony have killed the girls. All right, so that's the latest. However, we know that we will momentarily hear an update about the activities of today or the occurrences of today. As I said before, I'm not so interested in being up to date with the activities of the courtroom because I think you all can realize that it's not a big surprise what's going on in that courtroom. I mean, your basic summation of what's going on in the courtroom is that she's taking everything under advisement and she will issue on it at a later time, probably once she has anywhere from a week to two. She'll probably figure out what she can do with all that and then make some decisions. Okay, so there's no reason in having to be up to the second about what's going on in the courtroom. Things are transpiring and she will issue decisions. At the point that she issues those decisions, then it will be extremely pertinent to comment upon the decisions she's made about all of these motions taken under advisement. That's when it will be a good time to speak on it, okay? Right now, all we're doing is just regurgitating basics. All of these filings have been out for months. We've already had amazingly in-depth discussions about it. We already have knowledge of what's in all the filings. But what I'm doing for you here is I'm reviewing all of them that are being looked at and taken under advisement so that you're aware of what's in the pressure cooker, okay? But before I do that, I want to comment upon yesterday and why I didn't make my show yesterday, okay? Because this is something else, okay? Now, as you know, I'm not very emotional or sympathetic towards any of the parties in this entire thing. As you know, I don't give a shit about the prosecution. As you know, I don't give a shit about Richard Allen. As you know, I don't give a shit about the defense attorneys. And as you know, I don't give a shit about any of the other YouTubers. I think all of the YouTubers are bags of shit, okay, for what they have done in this case. They've interfered. They've purposely inserted themselves into this case, okay, whether you're looking at defense shills or prosecution shills. Everyone covering this case has personally interfered in this case to some degree or another. Most of them were behind the sharing of crime scene photos. Now, I will say to you at this very moment, okay, the crime scene photos came about from the prosecution shills, okay? It is my opinion that those crime scene photos were in the possession of individuals for quite a long time and were being sold on the dark web. And you know who was doing it and you know where it was being done, okay? When those crime scene photos that were being sold on the dark web, when they got into the wrong hands, which would be Ruckus Rock's Discord, okay, it was an absolute nuclear explosion that occurred. And all of these assholes shit their pants, okay? At that point, they created a second wave of leaks so that all of the defense-friendly or shilling YouTubers would be involved. They tried to spread the shit out to spread guilt to everyone. So at that point, all of the defense people received the crime scene photos as well. Okay. What happened is you had an entire tidal wave of people lying to you about the crime scene photos leak. Yes, you did. Whether it be defense uh, friendly channels or prosecution friendly channels, you've been lied to. You've been lied to. You've never been told the truth. Okay. Those crime scene photos, you were lied to by the likes of Rick Snay. You were lied to by Tommy Frost and Company. You were lied to by The Unraveling and Company. You were lied to by Little Frankie and Company. You were lied to by Ruckus Rocks and Company. You were lied to by every single person involved in those leaks. Now, amazingly enough, because I'm on everyone's shit list, and I'm the friend of no one here, I was not involved in those leaks. And I can sit here today and proudly say to you that I never shared those crime scene photos with one single individual. And that's a fact. And that's something I'm extremely proud of, because no one on YouTube can say it like I can say it. They all shared the crime scene photos with each other and with their viewers in their Discord. They shared them on Zooms. They shared them on Signal. They shared them in Discords. They shared them on Facebook Messenger. I've got the receipts for it all. Never once. Okay? Your entire group of YouTubers have personally interfered in this case. They've injected themselves. Okay? You have the ones like Fig Solves and Company. They've done it for the prosecutor. Okay? You have people have been hacked illegally in order to hand material over to Nick McClelland. Okay? You have defense shills who've inserted themselves into this case and interfered in this case personally. Yes, you have. I've not once interfered or inserted myself into this case. All I do is a public YouTube commentary. This is a commentary channel. So anything you see on this channel, this is the extent of my interference in this case. It's called commentary, public commentary. Okay, that's not personally inserting yourself and interfering into the case. Now, I will tell you this much at this point. Here's how I have inserted myself into this case. Everything I've observed has gone to law enforcement. First of all, it's nothing special because this is all public information. Law enforcement can see it themselves. They can get this themselves. I'm just helping them out by organizing it a little. So yeah, what I have done is, as my due diligence and my duty and responsibility, I have taken concerning things and forwarded to law enforcement, and I will continue to. And there's even more coming. Okay, 90% of your YouTubers, Facebookers, and Twitterers, 90% of your social media has inserted themselves into the Delphi murders case. You got to ask yourself why. Anyway, back to yesterday. Back to yesterday. The reason I didn't make it on yesterday was that I read Yellow Jacket's notes. Okay. So we have several sources out there. We have several sources out there in the courtroom, literally in the courtroom. I have several sources sitting in the courtroom. They've been calling me, texting me, giving me updates. Nothing to report. Nothing to report. Where just nothing. Okay. And you know that I already have an extreme problem with Dr. Monica Walla. And you may recall some time ago that I blasted the shit out of her because of her involvement in the various Facebook groups and in the drama, particularly her making the statements of she watches Rick Snay for the drama, and I took extreme offense at that. That someone like Monica Walla will be personally involved in finding entertainment in the Rick Snay drama, while this case is of such importance to that community, and uh, and playing around like it's a game on social media, while at the same time being in a position of responsibility to treat Mr. Richard Allen. Okay, I took offense at it. I also took offense at uh, at good old Tammy Kirby, Turbo, um, shilling for Dr. Monica Walla and saying that, oh, those Facebook accounts are not hers. Okay, trying to cover the ass of Monica Walla and saying that that person on Facebook who said things like, I look at Rick Snay for the drama and this, that, and the other. She tried to shirk the responsibility or cover the ass of Dr. Monica Walla and allege that that wasn't her, and everyone believed it. But then it came out that no, those accounts were factually hers. Okay, so I had extreme problem with Turbo's stupid ass and Monica Walla's stupid ass. Okay, I thought it was unethical, I thought it was sleazy, and I thought it was irresponsible for both of them. However, yesterday, um, giving credit where credit is due, I read through Yellow Jacket's notes. Okay, and I was doing so that when I came on, because this was yesterday, so I wanted to get I just wanted to scan through her notes so that yesterday when I came on to do this show yesterday, that I would be a little more cognizant of what had transpired in the courtroom, so that when I did my show yesterday, I would be able to just have a greater understanding of what happened in the courtroom from different perspectives. So I was reading several people's notes who were in the courtroom, and and I gotta say, what ended up happening is that I became aware of Gallipo's and Walla's um, specific specific statements. Okay, and and it got me upset. Okay, like honestly, okay, because I don't really get that emotional around this case with Richard Allen or with the families, all these parties that are directly involved. I don't get emotional around these people. I'm more concerned with the community response, which I would call the all the fucking fleas and maggots surrounding this case. I'm concerned with the suspicious behavior of the maggots who are surrounding this case. So I really don't care too much about Richard Allen or uh, or the uh, or the prosecutor or the family members. Or I don't really have that much care about the people directly involved. I'm more interested in the social phenomena surrounding the case. However, as I mentioned, I read through the notes, and and the thing about these notes is they're interesting because there's direct quotations. Okay, she did a great job uh, writing down quotes, writing down the quotes. You see, and so what happened is in reading through these quotes, it literally got me emotionally distressed. So I got depressed. I basically got depressed reading this, and I'm trying to see if I could share a few highlights with you so you can understand why something like this would depress you. Because like I like to put it, see, my interest at this point, I made this in my last statement in my last show. Nothing's going to bring back those two girls. Nothing whatsoever. Okay. So, hypothetically, if there are more parties involved, or other parties involved, third parties involved. Regardless of the guilt or innocence of Richard Allen, if there are other parties involved, you would hope that all parties go to prison for this, okay? But let's say if none of them ever do, okay, let's just hypothesize that none of them ever get brought to justice, even not Richard Allen, even if he was involved. Well, how important is it that they all go to prison? Would you rather that one, say, for example, Richard Allen, or say Brad Holder, or say Patrick Westphal, would you rather that one go to prison or two go to prison, or is it more important to you that somebody go to prison, or is it more important to you that the actual truth come to light about the Delphi murders and what actually happened to those girls? What is honoring them more? Because it's my contention that what honors those victims more than anything is the truth coming to light. The actual truth coming to light about what happened to them. That is honoring their memory. Putting some sacrificial lamb up, some fall guy, some token arrest, some token murder, some vigilante, someone may go after Richard Allen and kill him. Who knows? Blood for blood will never avenge those girls. Okay, so whether one goes to prison, 8 go to prison, none go to prison, if you never know the truth, justice is not served for those girls. So in my opinion, the greatest justice that can be served for those girls is truth coming to light about what actually happened. Okay. Now, that being said, well, why, Prof, do you speak out against the state and against the prosecution? Well, because of this. It is clear to me that Richard Allen has been treated unfairly and his constitutional rights have been violated. Okay, so because I don't care whether or not one person goes away for the murders and truth gets buried forever, I prefer my number one priority being truth coming to light about these murders. I'm less concerned with about the railroading of one man or the conviction of one man or the conviction of 5. I'm more concerned with the truth. And when I look at Richard Allen and all that's transpired, all I see are constitutional violations, inhumane treatment, and abuse and railroading of a technically innocent man. Why do I say technically? Because he's not convicted by a jury of his peers yet. And I constantly make the example. If that would be your mother, your father, your brother, your lover, Richard Allen could be any one of us, because if it can happen to him, it can happen to you. He's a pretrial detainee. He has not had his day in court. He is not a convicted baby killer or a murderer. He is simply accused of the crime by law enforcement. He may be guilty. He may be innocent. He may be involved. He may be a small piece of the puzzle with 5, 6, 7, 12 others involved. None of you know his level of involvement. So putting his level of involvement aside, considering the fact that he is simply a pretrial detainee, he's being held for court. That's the only thing that's happening with him. In other words, he's being kept housed, fed, cleaned, safe. That's the ultimate goal, so that he doesn't go anywhere or he doesn't die. The whole goal would be that he's preserved for his day in court. That's the ideal. Unfortunately, this ideal is not being met. What it appears is that he's being abused, tortured, threatened, nearly killed. And that's why it matters. And I got so upset yesterday reading about what transpired in the court in these notes, because particularly the testimony of Walla, you see the clear evidence of abuse. Clear evidence of abuse. I don't want to even read through it because it's not my notes, but I'm telling you, I would suggest you all go and read through this. After reading through this, it's clear. It's clear. Like I would hope that someone publishes yesterday's testimony of Walla in full, so that all of you can read word by word, verbatim. None of us would want to be placed in solitary confinement in Westville, constantly screamed at, intimidated, threatened, having your families threatened, your wife threatened, being called a baby killer, being fed shit food. I mean, I would hope that someone publishes those notes, but in a transcript format. I think that all of you, if all of you have not already looked at it, go and figure out what happened on July 31st, 2024, in the testimony of Dr. Monica Walla. Keeping in mind that you're talking about a pretrial detainee. Okay? And remember, my hypothesis is he's probably involved. He is probably involved. That's my hypothesis. I don't know so. I just believe that he's probably involved in a small degree in this entire incident. But even considering that, go and read it. And if you can stand here and say that that's okay, I wish you'd fall over and die. I don't see how anyone could see that or read that and say that that's okay. How on earth is that okay? If you go and read that, it's too much and I'm not going to read it, but if you go and read that and you tell me how that's okay. Now, would it be okay if he's convicted, he's found guilty, blah, 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 blah? Yeah, then he's in prison the rest of his life, let him rot. I'm telling you guys, you have no clue. If you weren't there in the courthouse yesterday, or if you didn't read some of these notes, if you don't know what Dr. Monica Walla testified to, you need to make yourself aware immediately. As a matter of fact, you probably should switch off this stream right now and go and seek that out and just come back, watch the replay. I really do believe that between Warden Gallipo and Monica Walla, Everyone needs to put on their big boy drawers. Okay, put on your big boy drawers. Go figure out what Gallipo and with what Walla testified to immediately before you say another word about Richard Allen, before you say another word about the fucking Delphi murders case. Go figure out their testimony from yesterday. I don't want to see another of you type a single fucking word in any chat, in any Discord, in any fucking anything until you get off your ass and you go read Monica Walla. You go read Warden Gallipo. Familiarize yourself with what they said during these hearings. Then come back to the table and talk about it. Because it's astonishing. It's astonishing. We have no United States if that's allowed. Okay. Honestly, there's no United States of America whatsoever if that is allowed. That's why the Constitution is so important. That's why constitutionality is so important. That's why this case against Richard Allen is actually so important. Okay? Doesn't give a it doesn't make a shit difference about the Delphi murders at this point. This is about the United States Constitution, the United States of America, and what could happen to any one of you out there. Because if it can happen to Richard Allen, it can happen to any one of us. Where they pick you up for something, accuse you of something, and the next thing you know, you're a year and a half in solitary confinement, eating your own shit, being force medicated, banging your head against the wall, losing 50 pounds, damn near dying, having complete psychotic breaks, being injected with a cocktail of psychoactive substances, being threatened by your guards, by your law enforcement, by your fellow inmates, with a judge who's totally biased against you. Remember, as I said before, the judge is biased against Allen. She's supposed to be blind. She's supposed to be a fair balance in the court of law. She's biased against this defendant. This Constitution means nothing because it means you can go into a courtroom as an innocent person accused of a crime. You can be placed in a torture chamber, which a solitary confinement cell at Westville is a torture chamber. You can be placed in a torture chamber. You can be threatened with death, with the death of your wife, with the death of your family. You can be fed food with shit and piss smeared on it. You can be threatened by all of your inmates. You can be shocked with the shock vest. You can be tased with the taser. You can be bound like Hannibal Lecter. You can be paraded around like you're a baby killer. Injected with medications in that torture chamber, held for 2 fucking years, and potentially be innocent. Because if it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone, which means the U.S. Constitution, the United States of America, doesn't even exist. And that's why I was upset yesterday, because I'm telling you right now, if you please fucking hear what I'm saying, you need to go read Yellow Jacket's notes about Dr. Monica Walla and Warden Gallipo. And if you don't, fuck off. I was literally upset beyond the ability to come on and even talk. It threw me into depression, just reading it. There's nothing fucking funny about this. See the assholes that get on here on their live streams and they joke and they make sex jokes and they laugh and they talk about how right they are and they do all of this fucking stupid shit. There's nothing funny whatsoever about this. Prof, why are you so uptight? Because there's nothing fucking funny about this. And I told you, I don't give a shit about Richard Allen. I don't know him. I don't care about him. I believe he's possibly involved, but nevertheless, there's nothing fucking funny about it. If Indiana can get away with this, any state can get away with it. So no matter where you are, you're not safe. They could delete 70 days of evidence. They could lie on a PCA. They could put you in a torture chamber, inject you with a cocktail of chemicals, have you threatened by guards who are aligned with the very people who possibly killed these girls. It was so upsetting, I couldn't even sit my ass on here and talk. That's why yesterday I disappeared, even though I planned to do this yesterday. So like I'm saying, if you haven't read about Monica Wallace's testimony yesterday, please turn this show off and go read it now. Now, we'll get on to the presentation now. Pardon me. Pardon me. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Like I said, Jesus, I don't know where to start. All right, we're looking at all of the motions that are being heard this week by Judge Gull, and here's one of them. Okay, here's one. This is the motion to compel and motion for sanctions. On October 28, 2022, the state of Indiana, by attorney Nicholas McClellan, charged Richard Allen with 2 counts of murder. Mr. Allen's initial hearing was held October 28, 2022. On November 14th, attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin entered their appearances on behalf of Mr. Allen. Pursuant to Rule 2.5 of the Indiana RCP, the state must disclose and furnish all relevant items and information under Section B2 to the defense within 30 days of the initial hearing. An appearance by defense counsel or an appearance by pro se defendant, whichever is later. Indiana Rules of Criminal Procedure 2.5b2 states that the state must disclose the following information within its possession or control: the names and last addresses of persons whom the state intends to call as witnesses, with their relevant written or recorded statements. Any written, oral, or recorded statements made by the accused or by a co-defendant, regardless of whether charged or joined, and a list of witnesses to the making acknowledgement of such statements. Any reports or statements of experts made in connection with the case, including results of physical or mental examinations and scientific tests, experiments, or comparisons. Just a moment. I'm moving to page 2. Any books, papers, or documents, photographs, tangible objects that the prosecuting attorney intends to use in the hearing or trial. Any books, papers, documents, photographs, or tangible objects which were obtained from or belong to the accused. Documents produced pursuant to Rule 1.4. Additionally, the state has the duty to disclose evidence which is favorable to the defense. The above information was due to the defense after 30 days after Baldwin and Rozzi entered appearances. Therefore, it was due by December 14th, 2022. Between September 8th and October 6th, 2023, 9 months after it was due, 9 months, I mean, do we get it? 9 months? 9 months. Indiana sent the defense 14 hard drives, 5 flash drives, 3 DVDs, and several emails containing discovery disclosures amounting to almost 4 terabytes of information. 9 months. 9 months after it was due. Before the defense had a chance to review all of this late discovery, the prosecutor requested the defense be kicked off the fucking case. On October 10th, 2023, and the court ordered the defense to stop working on the case October 12th, 2023. Accordingly, Mr. Baldwin and Rozzi did not work on the case again until January 2024. Yeah, that's because of the YouTubers who were personally involved in the leaks, who none of you on YouTube has held responsible for that yet. You need to hold these people accountable. During that 34-day time frame, from September 8, 2023 through October 12th, the defense was only able to review a tiny fraction of the massive amounts of discovery that had been dumped onto the defense 9 to 10 months late. Attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin were reinstated and re-entered their appearances on January 19, 2024. The 2017 extraction and data from other items of discovery were turned over to defense on January 30th, 2024. However, it did not appear to the defense that the hard drives were organized in the same manner as original provided during their first tenure. These changes have caused considerable delay in locating certain evidence, if that evidence can be located at all. Additionally, it appears that the defense that the state has belatedly disclosed tens of thousands of documents spread through many hard drives. For example, the state of Indiana first turned over the hard drive labeled FBI case 7C IP 2134732 to the defense on October 31st, 2023, after Rozzi and Baldwin were off the case. And the state of Indiana turned over the hard drive labeled Orion to the defense 12/7/2023, after Rozzi and Baldwin were off the case. After Rozzi and Baldwin were reinstated, the state of Indiana turned over those 2 hard drives to Rozzi and Baldwin on January 30th, 2024, while the defense should have had those hard drives on or before December 14th, 2022. Think about it. December 14th, 2022, the defense should have had this. They don't get it until January 30th, 2024. Most of the items found on the hard drive detailed above are not labeled in any descriptive fashion, and many, if not most of the items, have zero context as to what the significance of the document's video photographs are. Many of the items are not accompanied by a report or even notes that explain the reason such items are held in discovery. For example, one video shows a man that appears to be dead on a bed being turned over by what appears to be police. There's no context provided as to why that video is included in the massive amount of discovery or what the video has to do with the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. This is just one example of thousands of examples that the defense could cite of evidence with no context as to why it's related to the case that the state of Indiana has provided to the defense. Additionally, more recent evidence that the state of Indiana has turned over to the defense through e-discovery contains evidence that is seemingly sandwiched in the middle of completely unrelated fucking discovery. buried like a needle in a haystack. For example, the state has produced e-discovery response received March 15, 2024, which included a document labeled Second Half of Delphi, 3 SUPs, consisting of 341 pages of documents. Most of the contents in this document are reports from Westville Correctional Unit. However, buried, like a needle in a haystack intentionally, among these other reports is a narrative report on page 239 by Detective Vito of the ISP, another we're considering as corrupt, describing a phone call with Detective Liddell of the Manatee County, Florida Sheriff's Office detailing an investigation of a third-party suspect, Anthony Greeno, known by Unified Command in this matter. Detective Liddell told Detective Vito that the Manatee County Sheriff's Office was sent Manatee County Sheriff's Office sent a tech to obtain a pair of a suspect's Greeno's jeans that appeared to have blood all over them, and that the Manatee County Sheriffs would send the items to Lafayette, Indiana State Police Post. Additionally, Detective Liddell sent an email to Detective Vito with the report and a statement affidavit by Detective Vito notated that both documents were attached to the report. Neither the Manatee County, Florida report nor statement affidavit were attached to the document the state of Indiana provided to the defense. The defense has not located any follow-up discovery detailing whether the state of Indiana even attempted to test the blood on Greeno's pants for DNA, and does not know if such a report exists, and if it does, whether it may be found sandwiched between other fucking discovery. This is just another example of the discovery issues plaguing the defense. The document would not have been found but for someone taking the time to go through this discovery one page at a time. Furthermore, the state of Indiana has sent repeated piecemeal discovery, forcing the defense to engage in time-consuming processes of reviewing and attempting to search multiple hard drives, flash drives, and e-discovery for particular documents the defense believes exist but cannot locate. The state of Indiana has drowned the defense in late discovery, yes, 9 to 10 months late, remember, which materially harms the defense team in preparing for trial in a meaningful and cohesive way. All right, you guys, get the Q-tips, get the wax out of your ears. Let's go. Liberty German cell phone. On February 15, 2017, Lieutenant Brian Bunner of the Cybercrimes Unit of the ISP conducted an extraction of data from Liberty German cell phone using a program called Celebrite. Said information was downloaded via Celebrite and several reports were generated therefrom. When the defense was unable to locate in discovery the data from Liberty German's cell phone, it sent an email to Prosecutor McClelland on June 17, 2023, requesting a copy of the data from Liberty German's cell phone, as it had not yet been provided to the defense. Clearly, the state of Indiana possessed the 2017 Celebrite extraction and data on the date they filed charges against Mr. Allen, October 28, 2022. As well as when the defense requested the data from Liberty German's cell phone in its June 17, 2023 email. Despite being in the state of Indiana's possession for over 5 fucking years, when charges were filed against Allen on October 28, 2022, the extraction and data from Liberty German's phone was not provided to Mr. Allen's attorneys until September 8, 2023, 9 months after it was due to the defense, and after being in possession for more than 5 years. However, even upon receiving the extraction and data from Liberty German's cell phone, the defense was unable to immediately focus on that important piece of evidence, as that evidence was just one small part of a much larger series of evidence dumps that the state of Indiana chose to turn over to the defense in a roughly 4-week period between September 8, 2023 and October 6, 2023, more than 9 fucking months after it was required under the Indiana rules of criminal procedure. Included in the 2017 Celebrite extraction of Liberty German's cell phone was a video purportedly taken on February 13, 2017 at 2:13 p.m. containing images of Abby Williams and a purported suspect, purportedly Mr. Richard Allen. The state of Indiana failed to produce this extraction to the defense until September 8, 2023, 9 fucking months later than discovery rules mandated. Additionally, in 2019, the ISP conducted additional extractions of Liberty German's phone utilizing different software programs. These newer extractions have been discussed by ISP officers in depositions, but has not been located in any discovery provided by the prosecutor in any usable fashion. The defense has requested the state of Indiana to provide locations of these newer extractions. Yeah, 2019. Remember change of direction? I wonder what it is. What is it? Additionally, a certain extraction software program called Axiom has been provided to the defense. The defense has been able or unable to open said extraction, but apparently needs some type of special licensed program in order to do so. The defense believes the state of Indiana has not provided the special program. As part of a reasonable investigation, the defense would have wanted the opportunity to compare the 2017 extraction to the 2019 extraction change of direction. Hello. To see what differences might exist and the reasons for those differences, and would have further wanted to exercise the opportunity on or before December 14, 2022, when the state of Indiana was required to turn over all the fucking extractions of Liberty German's phone, so that the defense has had as much possible time as possible to analyze the phone extractions. There is no justification at all whatsoever in any stretch, by any stretch of the imagination, in any world whatsoever, for submitting the 2017 cell phone extraction or any other fucking extractions data 9 months or more after they were due to the defense, especially when the state of Indiana has had the evidence in its fucking possession for almost 6 years prior to charging Mr. Allen. Assistant Rushville Police Chief Todd Click letter. Report and evidence contained in these disclosures was a letter, an 83-page report prepared by Assistant Rushville Police Chief Todd Click, hereinafter referred to as the Click Report. Remember, this is Todd Click, a veteran, highly respected law enforcement officer. This is not a new, green, rookie, first-year fucking beat cop out of Delphi, Podunk, Delphi, who's just all of a sudden coming up with an imaginary fantasy world narrative. This is a result of the law enforcement investigation by Todd Click, Murphy, and Greg Ferenczi, very well respected law enforcement officers, which was sent by certified mail to Nick McClellan on April 28, 2023. The Carroll County Prosecutor's Office, corrupt as all get out, signed for the certified letter and report on May 1st, 2023. Yet inexplicably, because of the corruption, Mr. McClellan did not disclose this highly exculpatory report nor the accompanying exculpatory videos and other related discovery to the defense until September 8th, 2023, 4 months after he received it from Mr. Click. Rule 3.8D of the Indiana Rules of Professional Conduct, Special Responsibilities of a Prosecutor, states, the prosecutor in a criminal case shall make timely disclosure to the defense of all evidence and information known to the prosecutor that tends to negate the guilt or of the accused or mitigates the offense. Which, don't you think that the Click report certainly would? Prosecution should have turned that material over to the defense immediately upon receipt, which would have been in May of 2023. There's no justification for Prosecutor McClellan, except his corrupt Masonic Brotherhood ties, to delay turning over Click report for over 4 months after the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office received it. The delay in disclosing the Click report and other evidence to the defense has resulted in harm to Mr. Allen. Had the state of Indiana turned over the Click report, videos, and documentation in a timely manner, the defense would have, A, focused on certain third-party suspects, the odinous white supremacist, motorcycle gang, meth dealing, human trafficking, Nordic pagan cult worshiping, baby killing assholes, and would have then investigated this case much differently and much more efficiently, including knowing the names and the surnames of all the families living along the Deer Creek who may have also been involved in these murders. B, changed the order of deposing witnesses and would have deposed certain other witnesses such as Elvis Fields, Brad Holder, Johnny Messer, Rod Abrams, Ned Smith, Taylor Hornady, possibly Josh Dysinger, possibly Andy Hoff, possibly JT, and others. Asked different questions of law enforcement especially to Mr. Fat Ass Jerry Holman, and been better prepared for trial earlier, and may have even gotten to do all of this before September so that the leak situation would have never occurred and interfered with the delaying of the trial. The fact that Richard Allen remains trapped in solitary confinement in a secured housing unit of both Westville Correctional and Wabash Correctional while on pretrial detention has caused much physical and mental deterioration in Mr. Allen, causing counsel to seek a special speedy trial rather than risk their client facing further mental and physical deterioration. By the way, like I said, you should have already gone and read Monica Wallace's testimony and Gallipo's testimony. If you haven't, stop what you're doing right now. Go read Monica Wallace's testimony. Go read Warden Gallipo's testimony. You need to be familiar with what they said because it is damning. The fact that the state of Indiana has violated rules of discovery through very late disclosure of large volumes of evidence, including evidence that supports theories of innocence, has put the defense in a precarious position where it could have kept the October 2024 trial date and then spent the next 6 months reviewing the late evidence that the state of Indiana has had in its possession at the risk of continued deterioration in the client's physical and mental health, or two, seek a speedy trial and hope that they can put the case together in spite of significant discovery violations perpetuated by the state and Nicholas McClellan that have put the defense at least 9 to 10 fucking months behind where it should have been had the state followed the rules. Not to mention the judge and the prosecutor attempting to throw the defense counsel of choice of Mr. Allen off this case because though they know that they're good lawyers, they want him off the fucking case. They're trying to railroad Mr. Allen. The last thing they need is experienced attorneys such as Baldwin and Rozzi on this case. They've tried all they can. They've tried using the judge. They've tried using a sting or a setup operation using Mr. Westerman. They tried with the leaks. They tried using Nick McClellan and allegations of incompetence and sloppiness, neglect. They've tried everything they possibly can to throw these defense attorneys off this case. Why? Because they're good attorneys. They don't want a good defense of Richard Allen. They want a railroad of Richard Allen, make him the sole lone wolf killer of Abby and Libby, make this case go away forever. That's why they have more than 50 individuals surrounding this community trying to threaten, to dox, kill, harass, and intimidate anyone who counters their narrative. 30. As a basis for understanding the impact of solitary confinement for even 2 weeks on a human being, let alone 16 fucking plus months, the defense cites the UN findings on the topic. The United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners, Rules 43 and 44, prohibits the imposition of solitary confinement for prolonged periods, defined as periods of 15 fucking days. Not 15 months. Additionally, per the UN standards, solitary confinement should be prohibited in the case of prisoners with physical or mental disabilities when their conditions would be exacerbated by such measures. Rule 45. Remember, Richard Allen has major depressive disorder. The decision to seek a speedy trial was not hastily made, but only decided after factoring in that Richard Allen has been languishing in solitary fucking confinement for approximately 536 days, or 521 days longer than allowed by the UN, which equates to more than 20 times the fucking standard set out by the UN for the treatment of prisoners. And continues to suffer both mentally and physically. The defense fears that delaying the trial will result in continued prolonged mental and physical trauma to Richard Allen, or even worse, death. Choosing a speedy trial and dealing as best as it can with the fallout from the state of Indiana's late discovery fucking disclosures and corruption is still a better option than risking Richard Allen's well-being and prolonging the trial date in October. Request for sanctions. As a sanction to the belated disclosure of the report, drafted by Assistant Rushville Police Chief Todd Click, the defense requests that the jury be instructed that Assistant Chief Todd Click's report contains evidence tending to prove the innocence of Mr. Allen, and that the prosecution intentionally failed to turn over that evidence in a timely manner. Further, the defense requests the state be excluded from rebutting any information presented by the defense contained in Assistant Chief Click's report and accompanying videotaped statements. As a last sanction for the delayed discovery of the Click information, the defense requests that it be able to play late discovered video evidence of any witness it chooses to the jury without objection from the state of Indiana, foundationally or otherwise. Indiana Trial Rule 37.2b states that if a party fails to obey an order or to provide permit discovery, the jury in which the action is pending may be able to make such orders in regard to failure as are just, including prohibiting it from introduction, designate matters in evidence. Pardon me. All right. I messed that up. From introducing designate matters in evidence. As a sanction for the late discovery or non-discovery, Mr. Allen requests that all data from Liberty German's phone, including video from data extractions, be excluded from evidence. Now see, that right there, number 34, guys, that's where I think you may have a problem if you're believing Richard Allen is totally innocent. See, here's the elephant in the room that all of your defense shills will not address. Why would the defense want to exclude video data from Liberty German's phone unless it shows Richard Allen approaching the girl saying, "Guys downhill"? Like I said, I have no allegiance to anyone in this fucking case. None of you in the chat, none of you watching, none of you on the YouTubes, none of you in the court, none of you in the defense team, none of you in fucking Delphi, and none of you in California, Florida, or anywhere else. Bottom line, what's on that video from Liberty German's phone? Additionally, the defense believes that there are multiple documents which still have not been disclosed to the defense, or that the defense cannot locate in the massive amount of discovery provided to the defense. This includes the following. On November 4, 2019, the state of Indiana sent a geofence warrant to Google requesting activity from any device in a specified distance and within a specified time of the area in the bodies of which Abigail Williams, Liberty German, were located. On the same day, it appears Google returned data in a spreadsheet which contained 18,632 lines of data. So within the same day. Nice job, Google. Each relating to a particular device ID. Generally, there is information received to follow-up requests which identify subscriber data with device IDs. To date, no such spreadsheet or data has been located by the defense, nor can any such information be found by the defense in spite of requests to the prosecution. Okay, so we want geofence data. Detective Murphy testified in his deposition that law enforcement had pings and other phone information related to Elvis Field's phone on February 13, 2017. To date, no such data has been located by the defense or defense counsel. Standard operating procedures for evidence collection and retention for the ISP, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, and Delphi PD. To date, either no such documents have been provided to the defense or the defense cannot locate the information. Yeah, send the SOPs, you SOBs. Chain of custody documents relating to the bullet purportedly found near the bodies of LG and AW. To date, no such data has been located. Chain of custody for the bullet. Got it? Chain of custody documents related to the sticks, branches, and bark found at the scene. To date, no data has been located to the defense or the defense cannot locate it. Chain of custody for the bullet, chain of custody for the fucking sticks. The defense possesses photographs of a bullet purportedly found in the ground near the bodies and photographs of the bullet at the crime lab. The defense has no other photographs or videos of the bullet from any other time. In the event there are additional photographs or videos, the defense requests they be immediately produced. To date, no such photographs have been provided to the defense, or the defense cannot locate said photographs in spite of requesting state of Indiana point out where the photographs are located in discovery. That includes photographs taking a bullet out of the ground, evidence markers, collecting the bullet, etc., etc., etc. Did you not document at all the finding, the extraction, or the collecting of the bullet? Smells. It all smells. Prior to October 19, 2023, the state of Indiana previously provided the defense a number of PowerPoint presentations which were titled executive briefs or summaries, which appeared to be presentations providing information to law enforcement during briefings, including PowerPoint presentation connecting Elvis Fields to Delphi. Oh, interesting, ISP. You were looking at Elvis Fields. To date, since getting back on the case, no such data has been located. Oh, but you didn't give it up. So can we get the Elvis Fields PowerPoint, ISP? According to certain law enforcement officers involved in the investigation who have been deposed, members of the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit were present and engaged in the investigation of the crime. References have been made to BAU reports. However, the defense has not been able to locate any fucking reports from the Behavioral Analysis Unit of the FBI or any law enforcement concerning assessments of the crime scene regarding Odinism, Nordic culture or paganism, Germanic culture, runes, magic, cult activity, or heathenism. To date, no such data has been located by the defense, or the defense cannot locate information. Can we get the Behavioral Analysis Unit of the FBI's take on the signatures at the crime scene? That's the basics of what's being asked for. On April 16, 2024, pursuant to Indiana Trial Rule 26F, defense counsel sent a letter to Prosecutor McClelland via certified mail and email requesting the above information or the identification of the location of the information in discovery. Furthermore, defense counsel requested a response by Friday, April 19, 2024. In this April 16, 2024 letter to the prosecutor, the defense requested that the prosecutor explain his reasons for failing to turn over the exculpatory click information for 4 fucking months when the Brady material should have been turned over immediately to the defense upon receipt. 2, explain his September 6, 2023 email in which he made false claims and misrepresentations to defense concerning the identity of a Purdue professor and the law enforcement's attempt to locate said identity, even going so far as to telling the defense that the state of Indiana may not be able to learn the identity when at the time of the email, the identity was already known. Yeah, remember, they already knew that it was Jeffrey Turco, but the Masonic Brotherhood tried to cover that up and keep it out of the ears and eyes of the defense team and you, ladies and gentlemen. 3, explain the reasons for dumping 14 hard drives, 5 flash drives, and 3 DVDs in certain e-discovery 9 fucking months more later than required under statute, and thereby putting the defense at a distinct disadvantage, especially while dealing with with their clients' mental health and physical health and other issues, which propelled their speedy trial request. The defense requests the court to order the prosecutor to explain this blatant suspicious conduct around the issues raised in the paragraph above. The state of Indiana has made no substantive response to the discovery deficiencies outlined in the aforementioned letter, nor has a prosecutor attempted to address the issues outlined in the above paragraph. Additionally, in early April, the defense requested the prosecution provide Brady Gigolo material, if that exists, concerning law enforcement officials, both state and federal. The defense provided a deadline of April 15 for said Brady material, then extended the deadline to April 19. To date, the prosecution has failed to provide any Brady material, nor has the state of Indiana indicated that no such material exists. The defense believes that at least one key member of law enforcement has Brady Gigolo material that the state of Indiana has still failed over to the defense. Okay, and we'll skip the rest. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this was filed April 23rd. April 23rd. Okay, it's being heard today. April 23rd. All right. Now, you're ready to really get upset? Here we go. State's motion in limine. The state of Indiana requests that the court enter an order required the defendant or his counsels to refrain from mentioning the following. Please go download this from Delphi Docs or anywhere else. This one's important. Any comments about counsel for the state that constitutes a personal attack on the attorney for the state or comments on the role of the state's attorney. Oh, you mean like, why have you not turned over evidence anywhere from 9 to 10 months late? You mean that sort of corruption? That's obvious. Any comment which constitutes the personal opinion of defense counsel about any evidence, witness, or outcome or penalty. For instance, the defense counsel cannot vouch for the truthfulness or competency of any state's witness, including police officers of any of his own witnesses. What about Liggett lying on the PCA? You don't want the attorneys to point out that Liggett clearly lied and misrepresented witness statements on the PCA for Richard Allen? Oh, okay. Any innuendo or inference that is not supported by admissible evidence. Any attempt to indoctrinate the jury voir dire by exposing the jury to substantive issues on the case. Any attempt during voir dire to have the jury prejudge the credibility of a witness. Oh, you mean like, I don't know, any of your lying ass witnesses from the family and from the people who were out there at the day that those girls were found, who all seem to be conspiring together as a single cohesive unit to cover up the murders of Abby and Libby? You don't want any of them questioned? What about those who have, I don't know, things like OnlyFans and methamphetamine addictions, and who are alleged to have been related to parties out there cooking meth and producing pornography, who just happen to be your witnesses? Any hypothetical questions that include facts that are not in evidence or questions that are not helpful in violation of Rule 705. Any attempt to introduce third-party evidence and motives that is not relevant and are prohibitive, and the prohibitive value is outweighed by unfair prejudice, confusion, or the issues that has potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Before any such evidence may be permitted to the defense must show some connection between the third party and the crime. Well, I think we have that. Further, it must be a direct connection based on admissible evidence, not founded in hearsay, speculation, rumor, or conjecture. The state requests such order in limine to include but not be limited to the following. This is called the unmentionables. Okay, remember before, let's take a pause here. Remember before that according to Mike Patty, the unmentionables were Derek German, Cody Patty, and the Shack. Okay, so I want you all here, please put your thinking caps on. Please put your thinking caps on. Because what we want to do, we want to keep track of prohibited speech, because that's what you need to focus on. So what is prohibited speech? Derek German, Cody Patty, the Shack. Okay, so we learned that. Those are 3 in our list. Okay, then when I come on the YouTube, I learned that there's another element of prohibited speech. It's called the family. Okay, well, what more prohibited speech do we have? Odinism, cult or ritualistic killing. Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, Ned Smith, Rod Abrams, Keegan Kline, Tony Klein, Ron Logan, How do you have a trial on the Delphi murders without mention of Ron Logan, Tony Klein, Keegan Klein, Odinism, cult killing, family, Derek German, Cody Patty, The Shack? How do you have a case on the Delphi murders without mentioning any of this? You see it? You tell me how you have a trial on the Delphi murders with zero mention of any fucking element of the case. It gets better. Any reference to an investigation conducted by Todd Click, along with any reports or investigative materials from Todd Click that is not relevant or used for purposes of confusing the issues or has a potential to mislead the jury in violation of Rule 401. Burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. Relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. Evidence must be excluded if it confuses the issues. It gets better. Any reference to geofencing. Remember what they didn't want to give up? They're still begging for geofencing discovery. Any reference to geofencing and or testimony from Kevin Horan about geofencing or the findings from any geofence warrant. All right? Any reference to any prior bad acts of any witness. Wow, really? So we can't talk about the meth dealing. We can't talk about the meth dealing. We can't talk about the sex trafficking, the Dropbox, the pornography production, the OnlyFans. No, no, we can't. Really? What else can't we talk about? Uh, the sexual abuse. The sexual abuse. We can't talk about that. We can't talk about molestation. No, we can't talk about the physical abuse. No, we can't talk about the meth dealing and the meth addictions. Interesting that you can have an entire case on the Delphi murders, an entire trial, without talking about the meth, without talking about abuse, without talking about sex abuse, without talking about pornography, without talking about sex trafficking, without talking about Odinism, without talking about cult activities, without talking about meth production, without talking about Cody Patty, Derek German, The Shack, Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, the Click Report, the entire 136 pages. You're supposed to have a trial on the Delphi murders without any discussion of any of that. The jury's supposed to be completely ignorant about all of that. When the public out here in the real world, for 7 years, this is all we've talked about. What else? Any reference to any PowerPoints provided by the state as executive briefs, including or involving any person or persons that were investigated by law enforcement as part of the 6-year investigation into the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, that are not relevant or were intended to cause confusion. Oh, you mean the Elvis Fields PowerPoint that was just mentioned by the defense prior? Oh, so you can't bring up the Elvis Fields PowerPoint or any other PowerPoints. So in other words, investigative work product by the prosecutor and law enforcement cannot be brought up. So you're saying that nothing in discovery can be mentioned in trial. That's what we're getting at. Nothing from discovery. What a fucking circus. An absolute fucking circus. And you wonder why this case is not solved. Defendant's response to state's motion in limine and request for hearing. Here's another one. The defense and Allen request the follows. On April 28, 2024, the court directed an email to both the state and defense addressing various legal and logistical matters associated with the forthcoming jury trial. In the second to last paragraph of the email, the court, without any prompting by lawyers from either side, included the following statement. Now that right there is an interesting predicate, isn't it? So without any prompting, out of the blue, Judge Gull makes the following statement. I am quite familiar with the law regarding third-party perpetrators, and unless the defense can provide a nexus between any alleged third-party perpetrators in the charged crimes and those allegations, those allegations are unsupported and will be inadmissible. Well, is Anthony Greeno the nexus between Richard Allen, Keegan Kline, and all of these others? I have a question, Greeno. Did you know Mr. Richard Allen? Because people say that you do. Did you know Mr. Keegan Kline? People say that you do. On April 29, 2024, the state without hesitation accepted the court's invitation to limit evidence regarding third-party perpetrators. The court has established a pattern of summarily denying pretrial evidentiary motions filed by the defense throughout the case. Yes, that's called bias. Can you disagree that the court has exhibited bias? The motions have been denied despite the defense supporting many of its motions with evidentiary support in the form of videos or video interviews, audio interviews, crime scene photos, affidavits of witnesses, and various other forms of corroborating documentation. In contrast, the state's motion in limine contains no supporting documents or other information justifying any limitations on the defendant's ability to present evidence regarding third-party perpetrators. So what's being said here? What's being said is the defense has consistently given you receipts, okay, including the 136-page Frank's memorandum, including the 86-page Todd Click report, including other evidence that the defense has sought out and provided, like the evidence for Brad Holder's social media, Patrick Westphal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Defendant Allen's defense team is quite familiar with the law regarding admissibility of evidence. I mean, they are attorneys. And quite familiar with the law regarding admissibility of third-party perpetrators, which requires only that Defendant Allen established, quote, some connection between the third-party perpetrator and the crime. So see, there's already a difference. Gull is saying you must establish a nexus, whereas the defense here is arguing, no, you must establish some connection between the third-party perpetrator and the crime. That's a difference. There is a difference in that. So do you see where the difference of opinion is? So let me ask you attorneys out there, where's the actual law on this? Where's the precedent on this? Does the defense have to establish a nexus, or does the defense simply have to establish some connection between the third-party perpetrator and the crime? That's a difference, and that's a difference we need to know about. The defense has spent the better part of a year conducting discovery, seeking out exculpatory evidence from the state. Remember, 7 first days missing, 70 days in totality missing, deleted, destroyed, corruption, criminality, malfeasance, cover-up. The state of Indiana has sought out no assistance from the court in an attempt to limit the discovery process. In fact, the defense has conducted numerous depositions involving third-party perpetrators without the state seeking any orders of protection or orders limiting the discovery process. The defense anticipates that its trial presentation will include somewhere between 1 to 2 dozen witnesses. That's 12 to 24 people. That will provide relevant and credible information for the jury regarding the culpability of third-party perpetrators. So what we're alleging here is the defense could call between 12 and 24 people as witnesses who would provide relevant and credible information as to the culpability of these third-party perpetrators. Well, that's what I call a fucking great day in court. I can't wait to see that, because remember, my goal is not that Richard Allen get off for the crime or that he go away for the crime. My goal is that the truth about the Delphi murders be brought out in the court of law, because that would actually be justice for Abby and Libby. So yeah, we want the truth about the Delphi murders to come out from whichever witnesses it may come out from, and from whichever discovery it may come out from. Let's see the evidence that both sides are going to present, so that we together get the full picture of what happened to Abigail Williams and Liberty German in February of 2013. The defense requests the court to set the state's motion in limine for hearing for a full day. Well, you didn't get that, buddy. You got 3 days to hear 10 motions. During the week of May 6th, yeah, right. Well, you got the week of July 30th through August 1st, buddy. At which time, parties would be entitled to present evidence regarding admissibility of third-party perpetrator evidence. Well, that's happening today. That'll be interesting, won't it? This approach to the business of jurisprudence would assist in the clarifying the nature and scope of the evidence to be admitted at trial, which would benefit both parties. So these are our first evidentiary hearings, by the way, which I haven't said yet. And this is crucially important, that we are going to learn what is allowed in and what's not. And that's going to make or break the case. I'm telling you now, this right here is Satan in operation. You're going to figure out what this woman does. And depending on what she does or what she doesn't do, you're either going to have a complete shit show railroading of Richard Allen and a cover up of the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, or you're going to have a revealing of what actually happened to Abigail Williams and Liberty German. And this judge is going to work on the behalf of the good Lord, God Almighty. And that's the way it is. In its motion in limine, the state requested to limit evidence regarding several other matters. The defense response to each request for limiting instructions is as follows. State's paragraph 1 states, state request relief from, quote, any comments about counsel for the state that constitutes a personal attack on the attorney for the state, or comments on the role of the state's attorney. So you can't talk about me, says McClellan. State's request is unsupported by any specific facts or allegations and therefore should be denied. The attorneys, including counsel for the state, are bound by the rules of professional conduct. Yes, so in other words, we should be able to talk about McClellan where he violated the state's rules for professional conduct, like the giving up of evidence 9 months, 10 months late. State's paragraph 2. The state seeks to limit the defense from comments which constitute personal opinion of the defense counsel about evidence, witnesses, outcome, or penalty. The state provides no specific facts or documentation supporting its request for limiting instruction. The request is unsupported and should be denied. Agreed. State's paragraph 3. The state seeks limitations on the defense as it relates to innuendos or inferences that are not supported by admissible evidence. The request is overly broad and unsupported by factual allegations, and therefore should be denied. Agreed. State's paragraph 4. The state seeks to limit the defense's ability to conduct voir dire through the introduction of substantive issues, in this case to the jury pool. The state provides no specific references to what substantive issues should be limited. The request is overbroad, unsupported by facts, and therefore should be denied. I think this is where I think they raced through this by just continuing to repeat that phrase. I think each of these responses here should have been more further elaborated upon. So unfortunately, these paragraphs are pretty slim. These paragraphs should have been beefed up with more facts and meat, but it is what it is. States paragraph 5. The state seeks to limit defense's ability to question potential jurors about their feelings about the credibility of certain anticipated trial witnesses. The state's request contains no specific facts that would support such a concern. Overly broad and therefore should be denied. So the blanket request here is that all of this is overly broad, okay, which does have some merit, but I think it would have helped to specifically address in each paragraph each of the or in each response each of the paragraphs. State seeks to limit the defense from introducing hypothetical questions that include facts that are not in evidence or questions that are not helpful in in violation of Rule 705. The state's request is overly broad and contains no specific facts or issues for which said anticipated hypothetical questions would address. Okay, and then 7 and 8 see the same. 9. State seeks to limit the defense's ability to challenge the state's geofencing expert, Kevin Horan, based on relevance. The state's request is overly broad, contains no specific facts which the state is seeking to limit, and usurps the defendant's Sixth Amendment right to present a defense. Therefore, should be denied. Now remember, the geofencing is important. If you think it's not important, get your head out of the sand, wipe get the sand out of your eyes. The geofencing is important, okay? If it wasn't important, why would the state request it not be allowed? Why would the state not give it up in discovery? States paragraph 10. The state seeks to limit introduction of prior bad acts pursuant to evidentiary rules. Again, the state provides no specific facts. Trial court has granted broad discretion in administering the rules of evidence in a fair and just manner. During the course of trial, the state's request is overly broad and therefore should be denied. State paragraph 11. State seeks to limit evidence related to its own failure to provide the defense discovery consistent with the local rule regarding discovery and consistent with Rule 2.5 of the Indiana Rules of Criminal Procedure. However, the state provides no specific facts to support its request for a limiting instruction. Therefore, it's overly broad and should be denied. State's paragraph 12, same thing. State seeks to limit a defendant's ability to offer up PowerPoint presentations that were created by the state and its investigative team over the course of the 6-year investigation and as part of discovery. State's motion provides no documentation to support its request for a limiting instruction. Therefore, it's overly broad and should be denied. So the whole argument here in this whole response is everything's overly broad. It should be denied. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, basically, to me, looks like a complete fucking shit show. Thanks. Yeah. Looks like a complete shit show. Oh, sorry about that. Trying to remove it. All right. So there you go. There you have the 3 I wanted to cover today. We'll do a couple more, which will cover everything. Okay, so we'll have one more. We'll have Delphi Murders Hearings Day 3, August 1st, to cover a couple more, And then we'll be done looking at all these motions, and we'll be anxiously awaiting what the judge's rulings will be on these motions. We know she has exhibited extreme bias in basically in a broad manner, um, approving motions by the state, denying motions by the defense. Keep in mind that she has delayed all of this, not just by 30 days, by 60 days, by 90 days, by 120 days, but on up to 4 to 6 months. All of this has been delayed, which additionally shows a large amount of bias. Prejudice, malfeasance, however you want to look at it. Why? Okay, why? In matters of importance such as this, why is everything being delayed? Why do you have the prosecutor delaying things by 6, 8, 9 months? Okay, and turning over discovery and still not turning over all discovery? Okay, why do you have the prosecutor wanting to keep actual discovery and evidence out of this case? Why do you have the prosecutor wanting to keep actual witnesses out of this case? Why do you have so many YouTubers working for the prosecution and the family to harass, threaten, dox, intimidate, and frighten those of us YouTubers who actually want to talk about this case, giving a counter balance or a commentary that is a counter narrative? Why are they trying to silence those who have a different or a differing opinion? Why are parties working for the family and working for the corrupt locals in Delphi? Why are they trying to silence those, such as myself, who are having a public commentary that's a counter narrative? Why does the family and do the corrupt locals have an entire contingent of people on social media threatening to kill, dox, harass, shame, and discredit those on social media who are providing a commentary that is a differing opinion? If this was a small case, and if Richard Allen was just a lone wolf killing who are going in, and if Richard Allen was a single lone wolf perpetrator who just went in and killed these 2 kids 7 years ago, do you honestly think you'd have a contingent of 50 individuals going after everyone on YouTube with a differing opinion, trying to silence them? Do you really think that? Do you think that you'd have 50 people caring that much about a lone wolf killer who decided one day to go kill 2 teenagers? What makes more sense? What makes more sense? How about this? How about if you had 10 to 15 people that killed these girls or were involved in the whole situation? They're very powerful people in the community: judges, lawyers, business owners, family. Would you then expect possibly to see a contingent of 30 to 50 people on social media trying to silence anyone with an opposing opinion? Oh, yeah, you probably would expect to see it then. You probably would expect to see it. What appears that anyone that's tied into powerful people that commit a crime of murder, you suddenly have an entire troll farm coming after anyone that speaks out against those killers. Because I guarantee you, if Richard Allen was an independent lone wolf killer of Abby and Libby, and if no one knew about it, and if no one else was involved, you wouldn't see one person out here doing this. But here you have an entire tidal wave of people coming after opposing viewpoints. It truly is a David and Goliath situation. You would not see that whatsoever if this was a lone wolf killer with no connections to anyone. This is a community of psychos protecting itself. Guaranteed, mark my words, put some money on it. And until then, God bless you all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm tired of talking. I have some things to do. I can't change what it is. Can only tell you what I see and what I've experienced. And major announcement for these people. Sorry to tell you, you got some shit coming because I asked you to stop. So